Alright, how's everyone doing today? My name is Starseed Bey, and today we're going to be talking about Abzu. And Abzu, let me get my phone moved out of the way here. And Abzu is, the word is linked to Sumerian, and Ab means water, and Zu means deep, so deep water, or water deep. And the reason why I always bring these kind of concepts up, whether it be Abzu or also Anu, and Anu or An is also Sumerian for sky or heaven. And the reason why I bring these up and bring them up now again, because I used to talk about them a couple years ago, is because of the symbolisms behind it. And that's kind of what, Christ talked about when he was here. He used parables in everything. And parables as a whole helps people who are searching and seeking for truth. And why is that so important? The importance behind parables is to kind of uh, uh, chop down the weeds, to say, right? I don't really know how else to say that. Chop down the weeds. Seeing who has the strong roots that are willing to search and learn, because there's so many people who just want answers, but they're not willing to do the work or the searching or anything of that. They just want the answer right then and there. And that's why it's so important to bring parables back as you speak, so that people know what they're looking for. So that's why I entitled this Abzu, which means deep water. There's not really much reference to Abzu other than it was they kind of created a deity out of it, and it's also linked with what's it called, the primeval sea, which is the void space of the underworld, um, which is interesting because we all come from the void, and I've talked about the void before, which is linked with like um, 13. 13 is a secret symbolism of the void, or M. Um, there's so many secret symbolisms behind everything. But as a whole, we're going to keep it simple here. So, yeah, so we're going to be just going through these scriptures that have to do with water, and it's linked with energy, with synergy. That's our foundational structure. Our whole body is full. It needs water. Without water, we dry up, we die, which is what we see with the earth right now, is that it's dying because everything's getting dried up. And that's just because of the powers that be that control the earth. They do not want to see the earth flourish. So we have to come up with the ideas and ways to restore the water. But if you do some research, you can really see that Mother Nature's actually recycling herself as a whole. So as a whole, we have to use our energy, we have to use our synergy to bring out that life force, to gain the audience of awareness. That we have to start linking up through energy, through synergy. With that link cut off, we lose that water flow. Just like a dam. If you clog up the dam too much, the water isn't going to escape anywhere. But if you just get rid of the dam, the water is just going to flow out, right? It's going to flow out, but into a different location. And that's what we have to do. We have to make the water flow, but maintain the water in that one area, but keep it going. We just have to cycle out that water. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't really know how else to really talk about it. But we'll go ahead and get started here, and then I'll just kind of give my feedback through each of these scriptures here. All right, so John 4:14. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him or her will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give him or her will become in him or her a spring of water welling up to eternal life. And that's seeking the energy within us. Those who seek will find. And I always say this, but Christ always said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. You say that to yourself, I am, you know, you're going to open up the gates. You're going to open up the gate of heaven. You're going to allow that flow of energy to begin to go through you. But you're going to have to go through many challenges to discover that eternal life. It's eternal, etern. You got to turn your life around. It's hidden symbolisms right there. A lot of people just assume eternal means that you're gonna live forever, but it's just it's turning your life around, turning your life around. All right, so Isaiah 12:3, with joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. Again, if you're willing to look within yourself and start conquering the demons that are within you, you will find peace and you will find joy. But you have to conquer the demons and what's keeping you away from happiness. John 7:38. Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. And again, that's beautiful right there. And you can view your heart space right here, your heart space right here as the four rivers. And that's talked about also in Genesis about the four rivers. You can look at the Bible from a physical standpoint. You can look at the Bible as a spiritual standpoint. You can look at it as a poem book or whatever you want to look at it. No matter how many times you read through the Bible, you're going to see it through new eyes every time. And it's usually how you view it is where you're at in your life. And it's fascinating. It's such a fascinating book within itself. It really is. Let's see. But yeah, for the four rivers though, I mean, you get to choose on where your energy flows. That's what it means, is choosing where that energy flows. And I talked about this before, is that your body is a energy current, and you're going to have main parts, like your chakras. Chakras is a good tool in realizing on how the energy works through you. These chakras each are linked up. And I have a different way of viewing it, just based on experience, because there's a lot of ways that you can view all of these teachings. Some are mechanical in nature, or some are actually experienced. And you really have to look at it from an experience point of view of using like the chakras, for example, the chakra points as a tool to learning the mechanics of your body structure, of your energy, and how it works and how your body works. Things like that, the things you eat and drink, what you see, what you view, things of that nature. You start to link them all together. Why are you attracted to something? Pay attention. What part of your body is flowing with energy as you are attracting yourself through images, right? Same with thoughts. What kind of energy flow is making those thoughts take control of you, or guiding you, or flowing you. Same with other things. You can feel pain within your body in certain areas. That could be chakras, or blockages within your energy flow. And I go through this myself personally. I'll have like a sharp pain like through my arm through here, right? I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I'll just place my hand on there, or I'll use just the mindset of, okay, I need to flow the energy through. So I'll just kind of just flow the energy through, just cycle it up and down, imagine the energy flowing through as well as feeling the energy. And it's a step-by-step process. And you do that, and the pain will go away, and you'll feel a lot better. There was some kind of blockage there. And it can go in many different ways. Say you got a stomach ache, same thing. Myself, I will just hold my hand on my stomach and just create a spiral wave and kind of pinpoint on where the energy needs to flow, whether it needs to flow down or whether the energy needs to flow up. Whatever the case may be, you can control the energy within your body. And it takes practice and it takes time. It definitely took me, man, took me at least a year and a half, if not more, to really learn on how energy flowed. I really studied, did research on people's personal views, because you can read a book all you want, but until you do the work and research and things like that, you really have to use the power of the imagination, or the magi eye, right? Imagination, magi eye, right here, to control the elements within yourself, as well as learning how to better control the environments that surround you. We don't totally control our reality, but we can definitely generate a flow of energy within the reality or realities of our existence. Again, hopefully that makes sense. But as a whole, we all work through energy. We all work through synergy constantly. And, whether you're aware of it or not, it's a part of us. We are water. And that's something I want to start bringing to the table here soon is, and I kind of talked about this, I think, in a previous video, is that the universe, you view the universe like our Earth, our planet, right? I never left this planet, so I don't know what it looks like. We've seen pictures and a lot of 3D graphics from NASA, right? So, we really don't know. I don't know personally because I never left the Earth. But, whether the Earth is round or whatever it may be, we are in a spaceship. The Earth is a big spaceship, and we're floating in space, right? We're floating in space. We got these stars. Again, that's rather interesting with stars as well, because are these stars just above the surface of the Earth, or are they actually part of the universe? Those are my thoughts, and there's actually our ancestors have created so many pictures and writings on the wall of that there's a firmament that surrounds us, a dome that surrounds us, and the stars are actually part of the dome and not part of the universe. And it's really a lot of key factors, and then we got planets and things like that as well. But say we left Earth, right? Say we left Earth and we were flying in the universe. Well, wouldn't it be interesting? And there's a lot of actual facts, I bet you, that can really sum it up. But that the universe is not some kind of void or space, but actually water. And it makes sense because with all the stuff that scientists say that there is no air, there's no currents or anything like that, but there's still stuff that moves. Stuff moves very slowly, but sometimes fast too, because there's been things like that. But just the way and how, say with the asteroids and things like that, and how it moves, and how NASA and the astronauts always look like everything's moving in slow mode. It's the exact same way as if you see somebody in the water, right? You go deep into the water. You wear the same exact suits. I mean, astronauts, water explorers, they wear the exact same suit. they move the exact same way. I mean, you jump up and down in the water, you move very slow, and you can jump high and things like that. They're very similar in structure, which leads me to believe that everything is made out of water. And that's where I use the Abzu thing right now, which is translates as deep water, and Anu, which is sky and heaven, because they're linked with each other. And if you go throughout research, again, it talks about the void and water. Water is the key for everything, the fountain of life, eternal life. And I've talked about the the Milky Way as well. The Milky Way. I've labeled that as a universal womb, and again, that's talked about with our ancestors as well, is that we are birthed through the Milky Way. So there's a lot of links uh, that show this, as well as through movies and everything else. So I'm excited when scientists start talking about on how the universe is actually water. So be prepared for that, because it also, they say it's super freezing, that we freeze in there, but yet this is the key thing, is if everything froze in space, wouldn't like the space station up there, wouldn't that be all icy and frosty? Which again, if you look at NASA's live feed or whatnot, there's no ice on anything. So they contradict themselves. But yeah, just wait, man. You're gonna find out that water is everywhere, and water is the key. Look at stargates. Stargates are also made out of liquid and water. So there's a lot of links, man. Okay, so where were we at here? Like I said, there's so much to talk about, and it's just trying to blend it all together. All right, what else we got here? Let's see, Ezekiel 36:25. I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean from all your uncleanliness, and from all your idols, I will cleanse you. That's kind of weird. But as a whole, again, you work within yourself. And that's what I talked about with the chakra points, is that you start from the bottom, your sacral chakra, your garbage chute, right? And then your sexual preference down there. A lot of humans are stuck in that sexual preference and crap area. And then you move up to the stomach area, which is your energy current. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of humans get stuck in that energy current, and they keep just flowing down to the ground and stuck with that sexual preference over and over again. And they don't know how to move upwards into a more uplifting environment. But to get there, you have to go from your energy current to the void, or that space where there is where all your demons and questions and all of that, that's where the spirit realm dwells, within that fourth dimension. And you have to weave yourself through the fourth dimension to get to the heart space. And then once you reach the heart space, that's when you begin to open up the current to your own personal heaven. The keys of heaven dwell right within your heart space. But you don't just stop there, you keep going. A lot of people will just stop in the heart space, but you got to keep going, you got to keep flowing, because you got to learn how to cleanse yourself and allow your water to overflow. That's where the crown head is that you want to allow the energy to flow and overflow, so then you have that spiraling motion of energy that goes through you, so it begins the cleansing process. Because we download so much stuff from everybody that surrounds us, and it can create blockages within us, within others as well. And I've experienced that quite a bit. Is some of the people that surround me, um, they get symptoms, right? They get symptoms because their body's trying to cleanse themselves, and it can go the same effect with me. Is that I'll get colds and things like that, because it's a cleansing process. You always go through a cleansing process, especially if you study the moon phases as well, women are a lot more linked to the moon, um, but as a whole, guys are as well, because there's cycles, and it's a cleansing process. I go through a cleansing process, and it's bizarre too because when it goes into the new moon phase, my body goes through a detox phase. Same with the full moon, my body goes through a detox phase. It literally just starts detoxing itself automatically. It's because I'm aware of that flow and aware of that connection and how that works. And it's linked with how the matrix structure works. We're built in a matrix, we're built in some kind of computer program. So when you become aware of the program, you link yourself with it and you begin to kind of phase in and out of the new programs of reality. And that's, where I constantly say we live like in a 28 to 30-day cycle over and over and over again. But uh, we generated these illusions of a year and a months and things like that to generate the flow of this matrix structure. Again, that's where the energy flows. And as a whole, we're actually battery units for this reality because we're all energy. So we are constantly feeding the matrix. And this is why it's important to not only realize this, but you need to be feeding the matrix what you will it, what you want it to manifest. Your will and intent, your energy, your synergy. This is why the elite have so much benefit or awareness. Those hidden occult deals is because they know the awareness of the matrix. And this gets really deep, so I don't want to go too much into it. But as a whole, we have to be able to learn on how that energy flows. It's fascinating, and I've talked about this before. Truth Seeker, he has a school of the mystics, and we've been just kind of studying and learning about on how to uh, tune in, on what is best to tell someone. If you have a feeling about somebody or you need to talk to somebody, just kind of just allowing the energy to flow through you, listening to the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, or Christ, whatever you want to call it, listening to that intuition of what's going on. And we, through the last hour, we have this communication time of talking back and forth with people on what we feel that person needs to be said, what needs to be said. And a lot of interesting things come up, and it's so fascinating to me because it's, what is that, what is telling us what we need to do. Like I've had quite a few people different times that I've went to these classes, the same thing, that I got to keep going. Don't give up, or don't turn away from what is flowing. Allow the energy to keep flowing, keep going. Don't give up. All right. And it's stuff I needed to hear. So what generates that? What's generating that awareness from these people that I don't know, right? And we're speaking online through the internet, so that energy is linked somehow, and where is that energy, or where is that source coming from? It's bizarre, man. It's bizarre. But we have to look at this from a deeper way. A lot of people, when they hear me talk, they really go, "Man, you go so deep into stuff." But I tell them, I'm like, you have to, because if you just accept things for how they are, and that there's no meaning behind um, stuff, you're never going to learn, you're never going to grow, and you're never going to be able to do what you're supposed to be doing. which is what our ancestors talked about before, is the flow of energy, the joining of people. We have to join together. And America is really bad at this, but they have the whole concept of joining together as a dividing tool, of, hey, we need to get together and create protests and all these things. But no, no. We have to learn on how the energy flows. We have to use a business mentality because that's how the matrix structure works. That's why I talk about business, because you have to have a business mentality um, to have a sense of maturity on where the energy is going, where the energy is flowing. Because you can't just use your voice alone. You have to utilize different tools and mechanics to change the world. And that's what I've been thinking about. I know I'm getting off track here, but this all flows together. It has a purpose. But as a whole, that's where I've been kind of getting frustrated. And thinking about it the past couple of weeks is how can we get out there without spending a lot of money? So, we've been learning about Facebook and how Facebook's turning into more of a profit uh, tool. So basically, it's just like, when you get like a 30-day subscription, say to Hulu or the WWE Network, right? You get free perks. So say you get WWE Network and you get to watch their pay-per-view for free. But then you start having to pay $9.99 a month to continue watching. So you get all the perks from the free, but now you're paying. So if you want to become popular and known through Facebook, you got to pay money to get noticed. And YouTube is doing the exact same thing. They give you a free platform, but to get noticed, you have to start paying money to draw more people in. And I've been really trying to look at different ways and how to do this. I've been studying different YouTubes, and YouTube will actually watch people and see who's going to generate a good audience, who's going to generate a good audience. And it's definitely important to make as many videos as you can, and I'm really trying to work hard on getting stuff out there, and that's why I try to motivate you guys to do the same thing. It's awesome to write stuff and everything, but you got to be able to have a face to go with the voice, because that's what people want. They want to be able to acknowledge a real person. There's so many different platforms out there, but we got to start using our voice and creating a change for the better. Um, but yeah, so it's the product of choosing and trying to get yourself out there more. That's what I'm trying to do, is trying to meet the right people to start something. But um, it's trying to create something new, and that's what I'm about. Is I want to create something new, something different, because we're getting to the point where um, there's a lot more stuff that's coming up. It's not just a simple thing of politics, because now politics is kind of out the window, and we're learning about the mechanics of politics and about on how news is generated, how you got to be careful what kind of words you use too. That's the thing I've noticed too, is you have to utilize different words. So on how we keep the United States keeps sending troops over, right? Troops is a key word, over to look like there is something going on, right? And that we got the whole um, terror deal, right? Um, and that's what you got to learn, is learn how to say words differently, because they'll start censoring you that way. So they try to deal with the terror thing Um, and it's a mess. It's a mess. And I've also been studying on how, the population, they got this big old statue thing that says that they have to keep the population under what, 500,000 or a million or something like that. I don't know what it is. Um, but there's some really interesting stuff that we have to explore further instead of just focusing on the basics of politics and of aliens and things like that. We have to start breaking that stuff down, and that's where the energy, again, is so important because that's where the flow of everything is. Um, let's see. All right, so let's keep going here. Isaiah 44:3. For I will pour water on the thirsty land, and streams on the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon your offspring, and my blessing on your descendants. Again, what does that mean? Um, you can look at it from a physical standpoint, you can look at it from a spiritual standpoint, that people are thirsty, their land is dry and they're thirsty. Um, So you got to pray, you got to motivate yourself. Just like say lifting weights, for example. You lift weights, that blood flow is going to build up, and it's going to start generating and filling in, um, and start trying to heal up all of those muscles that you're shredding because you're tearing your muscles. So it's starting to repair and build itself, but it's beginning flow, that flow of water or blood circulating through your body more and more. So it opens up that gateway. And through that, um, as you open up your spiritual energy, it's going to help your descendants as well grow because, like with my children, I'll teach my children what I know, and it's up to them to continue that flow, continue that water stream, for future generations. That's what was lost. And that's why we had the Dark Ages and the Christian Crusades and things like that when they were getting rid of all the books. And that's why the Pope has all the books, is because knowledge is power. And if we all learned on what that is, then we begin to hold the Tetragrammatron, which is Yahweh. And that is where things begin to flourish, which is also the flower of life as well. You got to put all of this stuff together. It's deep, man. Revelation 22:1. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. And the Lamb is a representation of innocence. Is that we have to get back to that innocence or get back to that child. And I talked about this before about the Trinity, and the fascination of religion on how they focus so much on the father aspect of things and belittle the woman. And I'm gonna keep this very brief because this is another subject I really want to talk about. But religion has just shredded the beauty and the what a woman is, and I've used this many times before, is that we have a king and he has to look strong and dominant to his kingdom, right? But when he goes behind the scenes, some of that pressure really builds up, and he's able to get into his he can open up to his queen. He can open up to his queen. If he wants to cry, he can cry. But he goes to his queen for guidance, and motivation. And, it's just like, a child looking up to the mother, for healing and for nurturing. It's that same concept, is that, we work. A man is kind of a hard work, and it's really hard to really distinguish that because we're beginning to be more of an um, equal in energy. Whether you're a male or a female, I mean, it don't really matter. You have the power, you have the willpower and intent to do whatever you want to do. But the concept of the old-fashioned times is that the queen was always there to comfort the king. And that's, how we got like Mother Nature. We always talk about Earth or Gaia as a woman um, taking care of her children. Because, without the mother, there would be no father. And again, without the mother, there would be no children. So that's how I got the Trinity, that the mother is first. You got the mother, then you got the father who spreads the seeds, and then with the mother and father, you get the child. And how you get that is you got the father, or you got the mother, you got the father, and then the child on the bottom. It's an upside down triangle, and that's the flow of life. And then you can reverse it, and then you can have the mother and father on the bottom, because as a child you become a father or mother again, so then you give birth to another child, and in the middle of both those triangles you get the 0 point. You also get an hourglass, which is the hourglass of life. So everything is linked up to the child, and we have to maintain that innocence of a child, because we get so rebellious in nature with energy that we lose touch with that. So it's definitely very important. And that's an awesome analogy. I never even thought about that. So yeah, so it forms an hourglass of life. And, once the grain of sand runs out, then a new cycle begins. Um, and there's some other stuff I want to talk about too, but I can't think of it offhand. So we'll keep going. Man, it's getting some be deep, man. Alright, let me see where I'm at in time, because I try to make sure these videos aren't too long. So I'm 37 minutes in, so I'm going to stop this video and then start it back up. So I'll talk to you guys in just a little bit.